I'm standing right across the street from the United States Capitol, right in front of the Library of Congress building, and it's said to be the most beautiful building in the city. Wait till you see inside. And right there's the Capitol, and as we come around, this amazing grand building was said to be built between 1890 and 1897. Just like that. Now that is 7 years, but when you see the building materials involved in this, you're going to think, how could that ever been done even now? As we approach the front doors, which actually aren't open for entrance now, you have to go in lower, but I wanted you to be able to see the original structure. We have the amazing columns, and just as on every other building, this building is marked and permeated with acanthus on top of the columns. And why is that? Well, it's the same symbol that's on all the other buildings, and it shows you who built these buildings. I have a video on that, and you'll see down below the size of those stones are just massive. And I'm kind of redundant in saying that on these buildings, but it's a fact. These buildings are so grand, huge, and difficult to build. The entire interior is white marble, massive white marble. And to look at the outside and realize that once again nothing has settled on this building whatsoever. And when you look at the size of this building and the foundation that would be necessary to support the weight, it's very intriguing to consider alternative possibilities than an 1890 to an 1897 construction of this building. Just throwing it up. You know, most houses take a couple years in this day and age. And this marble did not get sourced from anywhere close. And it's perfectly done. The interesting thing on these buildings is they always have statues of men. The men are named one thing, but in the case of a millennial kingdom structure, that this building has been here for way, way longer than what is told, either those men would have been added at a later date, or they were actually different people than what is said. And approaching down below from the main entrance, we can see just this one block here is about at least 6 feet long, about 3.5 to 4 feet high.
But that's why I was like,
and this is even longer. Just massive, massive stones. All the way around. And the weight of these, just to carve them, if they were in fact carved, I mean, it's granite. But you can see that that granite is perfectly done all along there. And each one of these stones, while not a replica of the other ones, because this part on the outside is rough, that's completely smooth. And at that time it said that there were no power tools. So how is that smoothed like that? And if these stones were cast and then put in place over brick, then they would be a composite. And how would that have been done? And how would those have been lifted? any sort of timely fashion. The size of this building is just massive. And with winters, 7 years easily cuts down to 3.5. And the marble inside and the structures could not be done today. I actually looked up when the last time a building was built, anything like these buildings with marble. And online it said a building in 1930 would have been the last time. Of course, that may or may not be true, that even that building was ever built in the 30s. But this is never done any longer. And the excuse given is costs going up. Costs have always been high. In comparison, I mean, it takes the same amount of work, manpower, to do something. And also that there were no craftsmen. Well, just all of a sudden the craftsmen just completely disappeared and everything went to sheetrock. A building doesn't get more grand than this building. You're going to see inside. Of course, it has the parapet on the top that is commanded in the Bible to be put on the top of the structures that God gave in His law to keep someone from falling, obviously, but it was commanded to be done so that the blood of the person didn't come upon the structure, upon the house. Which in this day and age for many might be hard to understand, but that's the reality. We don't live in a purely physical world, obviously. And all these things that we don't see are real. Now look there. We have the faces on this side, but these faces don't have names put to them like the other ones. Were they saints? What were they? These type of questions are not really posed by anybody in any tours, and the symbols on these buildings are never talked about, but yet they're on every building. This building is completely massive. The length of this all the way down the street. Just the staging area for a building this huge with this massive of stones, and this isn't even the foundation, because in a mud flood scenario it would go much, much deeper. Now we're going to see what the structure of this building is made from down below. And if you can see through that grating, that's a red brick building, and that is a bricked up entrance or tunnel. It goes much, much deeper. So in the scenario of what is called a mud flood, which is actually a term given to an event that happened that covered the lower levels of buildings all over the country and world, in that scenario, the lower levels would have originally been higher levels. Now look at this. Now this is on the Library of Congress building, and this looks to be the original window. It's wood and rusted out all the way around. I'm having a little trouble with the focus on this because I haven't zoomed in. There's a grating in front. But if you can see down below, that's just ancient. That's goes right in with broken window panes. And behind those broken window panes is cinder block, because it's been cinder blocked. But that window there is very extremely old, and a red brick structure all the way around. And that is right on the south side of this giant structure. And of course, those red bricks would not be the foundation for the massive weight above. It would keep going, and you can see the granite block at the base of that window where the beginning of some sort of foundation starts. Here the window's been bricked over, but the old window's not there any longer. And here the window's taken out, and this is bricked over. And to just see these stones go on, and to see that window that looked like it was itself from the 1800s. But yet, if this was made originally in a way as of perfection, like all this building is, then these entrances had a reason. And all this land, I'm standing on the level, would not have been here, which is a possibility. I wasn't there, but I can look at evidence that's in front of me, and if nobody told you anything prior, you would think that the building, just as all the other ones that you have to step up to get to the first floor or down to get into the building, that are obviously buried, like the brownstones in New York or the ones across the street here, they're just the same. There's a structure underneath that was there that's been bricked over and changed. And above, it's obvious these things are clad with these stones, but the stones are still massive. And there's the red brick, if you can see that. And the arch for the tunnel there. And really, I'm probably the only person that's ever walked around and looked at this up close on this Library of Congress building, other than someone who works here, because all these things hidden in plain sight are oblivious to everyone. And there you have the red brick building on the corners. And then on this side we have these faces above, and I've noticed they're different. Now, whether or not they were originally there is another question, but there's not names put onto them. But really, by doing this, what I'm trying to show is just the massive amount of work that's involved in all of this. Just the massive stone structures that are everywhere. And here on the northeast corner, you can see as it goes around, there's a stone that has been inscribed with August 28, 1890. That's when it was supposed to have started. But looking closely at this, the millions of bricks it would have taken to build this, and in perfect symmetry, with half the time being in the winter, seems impossible. So at the entrance from the inside, you can see these massive doors to what is now the Library of Congress. And this building, talk about detail, this was said to be the most beautiful building in the city. You can see the pattern of acanthus all around the window. But then the entire building on the inside, besides gold-plated decorations, is marble. And the most massive marble structures and columns, said to have been sourced from as far away as North Africa. And you can see the ceiling right there, all acanthus, all metalwork. And just to see the incredible gold plating and patterns on the ceiling is a prelude to what's coming up. You can see here all the marble on the arches, the marble statues, and the incredible detail on the marble flowers. Just an impossibility in this day and age to ever construct anything close to this quality. And look at this room, this ceiling of glass, marble, incredible construction. We're going to take a close look at this. It's just incredible to even begin to contemplate how this could ever be done. Just look at the base of this column and imagine the weight of that marble, and then an entirely different variety of marble on the floor. With intricate design of each separate piece of mosaic put in the floor, marble columns, and look at these exquisite statues. Some would say carved, but really, there's no way. The stairs are completely marble. And notice this piece is all one piece of marble with intricate little flowers and acanthus leaves carved into it, which is absolutely incredible. And look at the detail of the acanthus leaves made from marble. How can that even be done? There's nobody that can tell you how that can be done even now, but in that day and age, it's seemingly computer generated with some laser precision. This is actual marble. Unless there's some technology that we don't know about that's able to fashion what is marble the way God would have made marble, in these exact shapes of perfection. And is that in fact what happened? Look at the intricate patterns and the bird with the beak, perfectly done. Fruit coming out. And these children are perfectly done. And it's not one or two, it's one after the other, all the way up. And when we go back to this, at the base of the stairs, you can see that that is not a joint. That's one solid piece. Entirely one solid piece made perfectly. And a curling swirl as it goes up with bronze acanthus statue lights on top. That's entirely one piece. Most people really are oblivious to what they're looking at as they walk through on this Saturday when it's rather crowded. But when you look closely at the detail
What could be more glorious than this? Just every portion, every square inch of this building has intricate patterns, but done in marble and gold and bronze with intense symbolism. And everything in the same symbolism as we see all over the world. There we see these marble balusters that are almost like chess pieces. Just exquisitely and perfectly done. And everything you're seeing on this floor is one small piece after one small piece, all done one at a time, to make this intense artwork. With timeless symbols that obviously mean something, just like that at the top of the column, which is the acanthus. At the top of a column, it symbolizes the crown of that column, the column being the ruler. And in the Bible, that acanthus was the same plant that was put on the head of Jesus Christ when they mocked him. And the word translated thorns in English was originally acantha in the original Greek manuscript. This room is just completely grand and incredible. And look closely at this floor. Is there one thing in this entire building and room inside that was done haphazardly? And was this done in 1890 with no power tools and a horse and wagon, when there's no way that it could be done now and is never done now? And just to see these columns close up, they're like glass. They're so smooth. And the narrative that they were made from carvings, marble blocks carved and then polished and then transported, really just does not make any sense when you look at these. All the marble work, look at the size of these doors. And on the interior of this room, the entire ceiling is metalwork, with the symbols that we see all over, the flowers from the same plant, and that plant is represented here in the close-up. It's all the same plant, with the eagle put in between. The room is amazing, but you really can't see the room on the sides very well because the displays that they put up completely block the real art, which is this amazing old world building with the incredible symbols on them of the same plant, of course. And this plant is everywhere in the world on all these majestic buildings. And this marble is said to have been imported from all over the world in the late 1800s. Really, that story just doesn't fly when you actually calculate the weight of this marble. These columns are perfectly vertical and all had to be put in place before that ceiling was ever put on top of them. And if you look out the front at the top of the steps, we're right across the street from the U.S. Capitol building, and there's actually a tunnel underneath that comes to this building that you can walk through. The same columns on the outside. These doors are locked so you can't go through. But everything in this building is marble. And these columns would have had to been put in place, as I said, before the ceilings were ever put in place, but they can't be shimmied. They have to be cut perfectly. And you can see those blocks are just huge. And when calculating, according to their story, these blocks, of how that could ever have been done, just a block that is 5 feet in diameter, the base, and 1 foot thick, would weigh over 3 tons, nearly 3.5 tons, over 6,000 pounds, and one of the marble columns would actually be 20 to 30 tons, 60,000 pounds. There were no wagons that could carry a weight like that. A strong freight wagon in the 1880s with 4-inch iron-tired wooden wheels and double rear axles could handle about 6,000 to 8,000 pounds. It said 3 to 4 tons. Some heavy-duty quarry wagons pushed 10 to 12,000 pounds, but only for short level distances and very slow movement. Every single column can be 20 to 30 tons. 60,000 pounds, not 12,000 in a heavy-duty wagon. So how did any of this actually get here? Look at these columns. One after the other, all perfectly erected with no variance whatsoever. And the narrative is that they were completely polished and made ready and then transported. It wouldn't matter if they were able to do that in the front yard, to put them in place without a nick, a scratch, or anything, leaving them like glass, would be impossible in the way that they've said it's done. Here we see the arch with the same intricate carvings. This room just incredibly grand. Now we're going to go up the stairs and look at the marble on this staircase and approach the top of the most impressive, amazing building, the library itself. And you can see that's the palmette. They call that a palmette and infer that it's from the palm tree, but it's actually the same exact plant as all the rest, which is the acanthus.
All the way down. Thank you.
And those are acanthus leaves with the eagle.
Come up, please, come up.
As I showed in other videos, that in the Bible, it was a sign of God over his people, as in Deuteronomy 32 and other scriptures.
On the side, please. Exit.
And now we enter into this amazing room with this incredible dome. Now this is all original, this dome. Many of the murals in the other room have been repainted and don't even resemble what was originally there, so I really don't focus on them. But this is all original. And look at this room. The marble from those columns is said to have come from North Africa. And the metalwork on this dome is really impressive. And the fact that this entire room is made from naturally colored rock is just amazing. That marble is said to have come all the way from North Africa in an era of no machinery. all put there perfectly. And now you can see a close-up of the acanthus metalwork at the top of the columns, railings and balusters, perfectly done. And then the massive dome with a rotunda at the top. And look at that metalwork. This room you have to have special permission to come into, and you can actually apply for it to go downstairs and enter and use the library. But in visiting for a short time, this is the only area they make available. You can see that's just an incredible building. And was that a library originally? Was any of what they say actually what it was? Or is the truth hidden? Look at the amazing white columns in this room, all perfectly done. And these are the murals that have all been redone, and many times don't even resemble what was there before. So to focus on those is not the most important thing, but this is, because this is the original marble. And does that look like a hand carving to you? Look at that. As if it's been fashioned by computer-aided design. Just incredible. One after the other, all the same. And you can see that marble all matches, nothing is settled. The columns are perfectly done, every one of them. And then the ceiling would have to be placed on top. And when you research this, it said that it was done with horses and wagons and crude pulleys. But you can see that there is no shimmying or anything like that to move one a little higher than the other. They're all exactly the same, cut exactly the same. And look at each one of these balusters spaced perfectly. And these carvings, which doesn't even sound right when I say that, does it? Because they're more like computer renderings than a carving. And here you can see more intricate marble work. And all the same symbols and representation. This just like glass at the top of the arch. This all acanthus, and this matches the courthouse in Texas that I have a video on that was spread throughout on the walls and had been covered up. And this column is incredible because it's all one piece. It's not a joint. It's put together. That marble turns that corner there and goes up to this bronze statue, but it's all one piece, perfectly done. Just an incredibly grand building, one of the most incredibly grand buildings in the world. The Library of Congress, just an incredible structure inside and out that just makes you question the current narrative. I'll see you in the next video.